In 2006, almost 9 years ago, I first came to Singapore. Club president, fellow Toastmasters, and yes. I knew I came here to study computer science, but I didn't know much more. I didn't know where I would eat, what I would sleep, where I would sleep, or who I would meet. I started finding answers. First meal in Singapore, McDonald's. Okay, not as great as home food though. Place to stay, I got into a hostel. The room was good, but unlike the room at home, it did not have an automatic cleaning facility. I looked up to God. God, 2 strikes. This Singapore thing is not working very well. And God then conjured all his powers and put it all in the 3rd department, the friends department. He gave me the greatest set of buffoons one could ever find. These guys defined my life in Singapore. We had loads of fun together, endless nights, chattering, watching movies, eating across everywhere, dancing and playing and all of those things. Of course, in the list you did not find studying, and that's for a reason. The reason is not as you think. The reason is that we all studied different subjects, so there's no point studying together. And if someone studied together, they ended up as a couple. So eventually we found our group. Membership at first was a little shaky, but eventually we settled at a stable number of around 9. We called ourselves the Range Gang. And these guys were very impressive. And I'm going to tell you about each one of them. Let's start with perhaps the most impressive one. Me! Just kidding. I'm going to skip right to the second one. The second person is the Rat. The Rat, you see, was called the Rat not because of his size. Actually, I don't know, maybe, I have no idea. But he was called the Rat because his name loosely translated to a rat. And also he was a scientist who experimented on rats, and drugs, and pain. That was him. And so, of course, he's being the scientist. Every time he spoke to us, we would act like we were sleeping. But he had good qualities too. He was a great artist, and I owned some of his artwork. The other artistic person in the group was perhaps the singer. The singer was very passionate about Carnatic music. Performed, quite the performer too. And she was also the group's PR person. Every time we went out, the photos were promptly uploaded, tagged, and commented on. The overall ratings of the group went right up. The person on the exact opposite end of the publicity spectrum, though, was the Shadow. The Shadow, you see, loved darkness. Anything to do with dark humor, terrorism, drugs, all of those things. And if you ever walked into the Shadow's room, it would be completely pitch dark, except for one thin light coming from a laptop screen illuminating his face. And his rooms also had another unique property. They had the best curtains you could ever find. He had something against the sun. He also had something against capitalism. And for that reason, he is now studying an MBA. Shadow's life was once in threat from the 5th member of the gang, The Rock. The Rock looked at the Shadow once and went, "I'm going to twist that head off your shoulder." This Rock is not the WWE, if you're some male, no, not that fellow. This is the kindest woman you'll ever find. And she was called The Rock because, well, she was dependable, like a rock. And you'd always know if she was around. She had this unique sing-song, high-pitched way of calling out to people. She would go, "Vikram!" and you'd know she's right there. Before I tell you about the other 4 members, though, I've got to highlight that the time we spent together was quite break-a-leg-ish. And the activities we had and the number of times we met and times we went out was so high that we had to invent a very, very elaborate expense tracker to see who owed money to whom. It was much more elaborate than any technical solution that was available 6 years ago. We even called it the Dora tracker and considered selling it. Among some of the many highlights, anybody watched the sitcom Friends?
Mm-hmm.
Friends. Have you watched the Guys vs. Girls quiz on Friends? One they bet the house on?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, there's a quiz. The guys and the girls compete. And we had a similar quiz about each other, conducted by another friend about all our life aspects. The guys won.
Wow.
Another great memory is that we once hosted a dinner. at a 5-star hotel in India, dinner and karaoke. All of us and all our parents.
Oh.
That was the best bonding experience one could ever experience. Coming back to the people. Where's the gang leader? I haven't told you who the gang leader was. As surprised as you are, I'm not the gang leader. The gang leader, the gang leader is a guy whose name, if you speak Tamil, is Chatti Mandayan. Literally translated means pothead. Not the type of pot you're looking for. The gang leader, though, was a very loving, caring person, but also we were very scared of him. Every now and again, he would send us a note saying, we need to talk. If one person in the gang looked sad that day, we knew he received an email from the gang leader. He was also very careless. The most funny story is of him going back home after an exam, goes home, opens his bag, and finds the examination sheet. He had carried the answer sheet home. Instead, he handed in a blank, empty paper. I guess he didn't see the difference between the two. The gang leader, of course, was the dad of the group, and there has to be a mom. The mom was also a very caring, loving personality, but also very, very organized, much unlike the dad. She had loads of health tips to give. The most famous one, and I still haven't understood it, but you can try it sometime, is that if you ever have morning problems, apparently you got to keep your finger here to improve the movement. Try it, I don't know. Not in the meeting though, please. The other running joke about the mom was that she had a hearing issue. Every now and again she'd go, but actually I think she was just fooling us. She didn't want to listen to all the nonsense that we had to say. The mom was also quite a good dancer. In fact, our group had 2 great dancers. The other was Teddy. Teddy was perhaps the most academically accomplished person in the group, yet had this childish twinkle in her eyes and this energetic step. And she was called the Teddy because she had a teddy bear in her room. Full-size teddy bear, as big as me. Of course, not as chubby and cuddly as me. And she also had this passion for fashion. Always looking at hairstyles, eye lens colors, and used to speak a lot about hair and curly hair in particular. The last person in the group also spoke a lot about hair. His name was Bollocks. The comedy writes itself, but his problems were very different. The reason he spoke about hair was because he felt it was all going off his head. And he tried every practical way to keep it back on, but it kept falling.
Aww.
At some point, though, we also thought he would be the answer for energy problems that the world faces. He had a lot of gas. He got over those things, and he's doing very well now, working for multiple marketing companies. However, every now and again, he tells people he works for the media. And he learned the very hard way not to do that. He told the Burmese embassy he works for the media. Imagine what happened there. Burma is not a very media-friendly country, if you haven't known. So that's the 9 of us. And when I leave to Pune tomorrow, the 9 of us are all going to be in a different part of the world. Bollocks will be in Singapore working for the media. I will be in Pune. The rat will be experimenting on rats in Munich. The shadow will be studying capitalism in Paris. The rock is being a rock at New York. The singer is singing her tunes at Pennsylvania. The teddy and her teddy bear are completing a doctorate at North Carolina. And the mom and dad are doing their thing in Chicago. Sometimes people plan in advance. And when I look at it, some would say, the decimation is complete. It's a thing of the past. It's the end of an era. But for at least one moment today, at least one small moment today, they were all here with us. Maybe you felt them. Maybe you saw one of the faces, you imagined one of the faces. Or maybe at the very least you experienced the impact they had on my life. And that's the funny thing about the past. The past does not exist. What exists is a memory of the past. And every time we recall this memory, we recall it in the present. We experience the emotions in the present. We feel these people in the present. You don't know if these imaginary friends of mine even exist. But maybe you experience their impact on my life just for a moment today in the present. And similarly, as I leave, I can only stress that Singapore, Barclays, Toastmasters, and each and every one of you will not be a thing of my past. You will be a thing of my present. You've all changed my life in ways that I could have never imagined. And thank you for that. Until next time, keep smiling, keep learning, keep in touch, keep in the present.